Come one, come all to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. Come one, come all to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. Give praises to Jehovah, from whom all blessing and knowledge will flow. Blessing and knowledge will flow. The Village Talk Show, dedicating to empowering the community to live a healthy, safe, and financially capable life, helping each one of us in realizing our dream at any age, any point, starting from today, day. Success. Come one, come all to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. Come one, come all to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. Success is not spoken, it is done. Success is done. Come on now. The Village Talk Show. Talk Show. The Village Talk Show.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another wonderful night of the Village Talk Show.
Good evening, family. Welcome, as Dr. Bryant or Joanne said, dedicated to developing a community, creating a financially safe community, and really bringing the information to you. I'll just have the discussion. All right, welcome to the Village. Dr. Bryant, how is your week going? Sounds like I could be a singer right there.
You know what? I am happy that the heat is back.
Really?
I'm happy. Yes, I'm a summer baby. So bring the heat on, bring it on. So far so good. I can't complain. I can't believe we're already August 1st. Where has the time gone? My goodness.
Yeah, I realized too, especially for teachers, I know we talk about what they call them, the Sunday jitters and all that. Talk to some of my colleagues, and even some of my friends. When August steps in right now, it feels like the Sunday before Monday, So, the holiday is like, it's gone like that. But I was looking at JetBlue, their deal and all, and I was like, I want to squeeze another place in before I go. I saw like tickets, $39.
American Airlines too, but I don't know how many people gonna go on American Airlines after their whole craziness that just took place. So, yeah.
I saw that Delta is suing CrowdStrike, like the investors are suing CrowdStrike, and I kind of laugh at it too. Have a bit of a laughter with it, because what do you call it? As an investor, you're taking on the risks, right? So stuff like that could happen even with like a cybersecurity company. And don't get me wrong, really. I can feel the pain for them. So really looking forward to hear what CrowdStrike says in I think sometime this month, when they talk about their earnings, how much money they gotta take from their cash flow to pay back to these companies, what they're gonna do going forward, because it's a story. They say something good and they come up with some good idea, people are gonna be investing in them, as they're way down. They went from like 385 and now they're at like 220 something. So, but I mean, it happens, especially in like September now, where it's just like a down, and they got the September effect. So, but yeah, people are gonna be worried about stuff like that.
That's true. Hey, our fearless leader is back. Hello, Mr. Daly. How are you?
I am well. I'm real excited to be on. I'm a little bit disappointed. I told our listeners that I'll be in studio, finding out that on my way to
You
the
tell
studio.
you tell them that you didn't get to look at the messages.
No, I didn't
Andre
get
wrote that since earlier that, hey.
there was if you see, all right, I'm gonna show you, right? Hold on.
So that group's still just going.
That group is just I have over 700 messages that I have not read.
Oh.
Yeah, and I did see some messages coming in, but I had an extremely long day today. Now, although it was long, it was productive, right? So it wasn't like it wasn't productive at all. It was extremely productive. I had a couple of things to do this morning medically. No big deal, but that kind of set me back a little bit.
But you look good.
I'm trying, but that was what what I'm talking about. Today was Youth Happening. First of all, welcome our villagers. Welcome to the show. Real excited to see you. Tamika, you also texted me at a bad time, right? I told you today. Everybody's texted me, but it's been a while. I really haven't.
He don't check his phone.
I have to sit down and start looking at messages. I got some bad messages on the family group chat, I got like about 7 or 8 family members calling me.
Oh man.
One person asking me why didn't I return their phone call? I'm like, trust me, I've been very bad this week. And
on behalf of the family, right? On behalf of Roderick folks, I apologize. The man is doing so much that I'm just like, my G, you gotta slow down. You gotta chill out.
I gotta slow down. That's exactly what I was saying to myself today. So what we did was we had something for 700 people. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
Multitasking to the fullest.
Yeah, I think
right is on the door. We had an event in the park today at Pattagate Park, and we had about 700 people in there. Yeah, man, we were looking after kids. We were doing.
You see what Jennifer wrote? He has to rest. Good evening, Jennifer. Good evening.
Yeah, I do have to rest. You're absolutely correct. I have to rest, and I didn't. By the end of the day, about 4:00, I couldn't move. I honestly couldn't move.
700 people?
Yeah, about 700, if not more. We didn't have like a ticker, but we had about 550 registered students. Then all of the counselors. Then we had members from the 6-7 precinct council. We had people from.
Erwin said nice.
Yes, thanks, Erwin. We had people from.
We had a great turnout.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this morning, the DJ called and canceled. So we had no sound. So that was bad. Usually we have a program, kids come out and perform. Towards the end of the day, about 2:00, the precinct came, they're rock climbing. I want to shout out all the police officers from the 6-7, community affairs and the NCOs and the YCOs who came out today.
That's awesome.
They were on the grill. The officers were on the grill.
Oh, that's awesome.
Hamburgers, hot dogs. DOE, I want to thank DOE publicly on air. They provided us with a lot of lunches. Unfortunately, we didn't order enough lunch. So they had like 150 people coming out. And they were like, oh, we didn't have lunch. I'm like, but so what happened was some people, what they did was they ordered hot dogs and hamburgers, right? And then hot dogs or hamburgers. So let's say they had 20 participants. So you provide lunch for 20 participants, a hot dog, a box lunch, or whatever, right? Guess what? some people came up. They had boxed lunch, hot dogs, and hamburgers.
Mm-hmm.
So by the end of the day, people didn't eat because multiple people got multiple food, lunches.
Mm.
And so that created a problem.
Which is a good problem because you know what? You know what to do next year. You're going to have somebody stationed at the food area where they'll have control. But that means that next year more people have to come out and more people need to be able to support you.
Yeah.
And hold on.
Yes.
And so that was part of but it was great, man. The rock climbing was great. FDNY was great. Police department was great.
Great Empress.
Uh,
you know what you were missing?
What?
If people weren't registered to vote, they could have registered to vote right in
They could have done that too. Voter registration. That's a good idea. I think I said I want to set up a meeting. Probably I'm going to do it early September.
Mm-hmm. We got the whole month of August.
No.
Today is day one.
No. A lot of people are, this is vacation time, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people are on vacation. So because they're on vacation, it makes it a lot more difficult to get a set meeting. Like I was actually supposed to go to a meeting today, but I didn't get a chance to go.
But not everybody's on vacation, because if you have 700 people, guess what? Some of them were hanging out. So that's a good thing about that. The 700, those kids, parents, community members, come on out and vote. That's so important. So important.
Yeah. But it was good. Want to shout out to our assembly member, Monique Chandler Waterman, for her donation.
All right now.
To my brother Everett Doman and ENZ Auto. ENZ Auto, they donated money. Karen Waite for donating money at the last minute. EFV, Sesame Flyers, all of her partners, FEC, the Yard, FDNY, I said that, the Lions, all the camps for coming out, and DOE, Farrah Lewis's office that I saw, and I'm 6-7 precinct council, and I guess if I forget some names, to all the education committee, to our education staff, community board staff, so big up. They did a good job. They're really, really good job for what it is. You know what was interesting?
What's that?
So the police officers came in, and I asked them at the last minute to set up some playing stations, some booth for the kids, and they actually played tag. They played, what's that, carrot with the egg, with the relay race, put the egg, carrot on a spoon. There's that. They set up a basketball piece. The kids actually, the paint dingling did face painting. My son messed up his old white shirt.
And this is where people need to appreciate our police officers, because they wear many different hats. Especially those in the community that come out and speak to members in the community. They participate and they do things for children. A lot of times, speaking, engagement, just being able to give you some helpful tips, safety wise, and just to relate with people. So they are not the big bad individuals. They are just like us, just making sure that safety is number one. And I know that this evening there was 2 sergeants that got shot, praying that they are safe, because the job that they do, the firefighters, the police officers, it's difficult. It's not easy. And especially also MTA workers, people who are commuting and carrying people around. When you have to deal with the public on such a greater scale, it is very difficult. You don't know who is in the right mind frame, and you are always a target. So kudos and respect to all those who are, and our politicians too, as well, who are in the limelight, in the front, getting attacked from every angle. Not to forget our educators. They're also there in the battlefield. So I can't never forget them because they're being attacked from every angle. But we all play an important role in making our community, our area, and where we live safe.
Speaking of community, just want to acknowledge somebody who's having a birthday today. I don't know who she is, but I think her name is like Ashley.
Yes.
Ashley Rogier.
Yeah.
A new principal.
Our author.
Who's also a guest on our show. She's an author, she's a principal. She's newly appointed principal. Hear that, Andre? Newly appointed principal.
Okay.
I'm dropping.
Andre hears you, and Andre ignore you because Andre love his lifestyle right now, and he's doing great.
Maybe we need to talk to Ashley about making him an AP.
I need an ELA teacher and a gym teacher, folks. So.
There, believe it or not, there's a lot.
Wait, hold on, Andre. Have you moved up to the AP position? So you need to fill your position. Is that it?
Well, I'm leading hiring, so I just need an ELA teacher to fill in and
you're what?
Teacher. I say I'm lead hiring in my school, so I need a gym teacher. I need ELA teacher as priority.
Look at that. My nephew is big time. So anybody know? Actually, you're the second person. If there's a Spanish teacher, also somebody out there, if you know somebody who teaches Spanish, please do reach out.
And there's vacancies available in Far Rockaway if you guys need. So.
All right. So anybody online who's an educator, obviously, as Andre just mentioned, physical education and ELA, and also Spanish as well. All right.
Enthusiasm, innovation. All right. Your tools, innovative. Your team player. All right. Come knowing how to.
And don't say that you're a team player when it obviously show that you're not a team player, because let's have those two. Oh, I saw somebody put on their run for office and they wrote a team player, and they're 100% not a team player. Well, let's get started. I saw our guest was on and he's not on anymore.
I think his camera was a troubling, so I'm kind of talking with him.
Technical difficulty, but he'll be on.
There it is. It works. I don't know if you want to do commercial first and then.
No, I want to talk about something first before I even get to our guest. I know, probably 7:30. So I read
7:34.
You gotta be swift.
I read something in the paper today, and I'm torn.
Okay.
And back in May, a young man, Christopher Emile, was shot and killed by police.
Roger, you're driving me crazy.
But I'm gonna
eat and everything.
Well,
I want to eat too, but
I gotta take a rest. Like,
just drink water.
Like Jennifer says, so I'm only snacking. I'm not gonna be eating just crackers. He was shot and killed back in May by the police. 33-year-old man, 4 children. The police said that he had a gun.
Mm-hmm.
And today or yesterday, the family had a rally at City Hall to ask for the firing of the officer who shot and killed him.
Did they find a gun?
They found the gun on the scene about 1 foot to 2 feet away from the suspect. So I'm a little bit torn in that if he had a gun, right, it's a problem. However, even if he had a gun, did he deserve to be shot and killed? Right? So there's 2 components of the law. Did he get a chance to surrender? What was he doing when he was shot and killed? So all of these things are going through my head. So I'm stuffed with ambiguity. How do I feel about this? I know what I've read, and you're going to hear your side, my side on the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to talk about that issue. A little bit. The people who believe in police brutality is going to say the police was wrong without having the detail. The people who are like Donald Trump and others who are pro law enforcement, he had a gun, he deserved to be killed. Right? He shouldn't have had an illegal gun.
Mm-hmm.
But when I think about that, I also think about Massey,
Mm-hmm.
who was shot and killed dead
Mm-hmm.
in Springfield, Illinois, by a police officer because of hot water. Wouldn't that be considered excessive force? And then I didn't like Donald Trump's comment either. Yeah, that the officer should be like saying he shouldn't have known better. That's not what he said. I'm just paraphrasing. That the officer shouldn't have known, might have known better, but it was an innocent mistake.
It wasn't an innocent mistake.
Right? It wasn't that he was a trigger-happy police officer who shot and killed a woman in cold blood.
Mm-hmm.
The officer has been since charged with murder.
Fired.
Right? For the behavior. But Trump would pardon him.
Mm-hmm.
So at which point do you draw the line? What about sensitivity training for our officers? Things like that. So I want to have that conversation, but we could come back to it.
Yes.
All right. Our guest is not. The camera went bad again, Andre?
No, he's there.
He's here. His camera's not.
He's waiting on us.
All
Okay.
right.
Let's bring on our guest, Council Member Chris Banks.
All right.
Man, every time I see you, Chris, I'm like, damn, that's a good-looking dude. I want to be like him.
I guess that's due to my Trinidadian roots and the God above.
You know, they say black don't crack. So
both, yeah, it's the melanin, definitely.
Yeah, it helps. How you doing today?
Good evening.
Good evening all. I'm doing good. Thank you for the opportunity to be back again. Coming back as the council member of the 42nd Council District. So I was glad to be back on to speak to some of the constituents and to your viewers and listeners.
The last time you were actually telling people to go out and vote. So yes, it is nice to have you back.
Well, you know, what all I'm saying is that you being on the show got you a few votes, so that's. I just got to give the show a shameless plug.
Well, listen,
actually, we do have a lot of constituency in your area. To be in all honesty, people do call me and ask me who should they vote for.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a good thing.
Who should they vote for? And you know, I like, and you know, Philip Narrow. Well, they call him Narrow Howard.
Narrow.
Yeah. He told me I had to support you. He said if I didn't support you, he was going to kick my patootie. You know, yeah. So
a big champion, a big cheerleader for and it was a great help for a first-time treasurer, and anybody knows campaign finance knows, you should have experience, but he's a smart brother.
Yeah, I by the way, Andre texted me, and so I'm going to text it out there. So I'm looking for about 3 teachers, by the way. So if you know any teachers out there, 1 ELA, 1 physical education, and a Spanish teacher.
That's Brooklyn. In Queens, there's a whole list. So
if you could send me a job posting.
Yeah, Andre will take care of the job posting. I do the Spanish. I do the Spanish for you. I'll try to get in touch with the principal for that school. So, you know, let's get started. I know I don't have you all day. I know you're busy, and I love to chit chat with Chris, and do that. But let's just get started. Tell me your what are you now? 7 months in, literally as of today. Exactly 7 months as of today, right? Or is it 8 as of today?
It would be 8. 8 as today. Yeah, 8
as
months
of today.
First budget.
Yeah, first. But tell me about it. What when you got in and you were running, you had these ideas. When you're in, these are the realities. Tell me about that overlap or that craziness, and you're like, yo, what the hell?
Well, I'll be honest with you, definitely was a roller coaster. Because I would say my first month of getting in, when I came in January 1st, you know, I kind of had to learn things myself. And thank God for the support of the Speaker's office and central staff. They were definitely extremely helpful, and having an amazing chief of staff who worked in government, Michael Lambert, who has worked in government before. We were able to navigate through a lot of things that, you know, a lot of crises and just things we needed to learn how government works, how this city council, this beast of a machine works, and we were able to get through it. It got us all the way up through the allocations of discretionary monies, and not only that, but I believe the first week that I took office, I was also appointed the chair of the Public Housing Committee,
Nice.
which is a senior. Thank you. A senior standing committee.
By the way, I saw you on TV doing a hearing. By the way, I just thought I'd share that with you. I was like, I know him.
and it was you know, NYCHA has been a passion for me because we have 12 NYCHA developments in my district, and I've done a lot of tenant organizing and advocacy for NYCHA residents. So it was fitting to take on this challenge and to have to be a advocate, a chief advocate for the council in a sense, holding NYCHA accountable and dealing with the complexities of the New York City Housing Authority. So a lot was thrown on my plate. Like they say, heavy is the crown. But I believe with this budget that was presented to us by the mayor or the administration, it obviously was I would say it was a restorative budget because there were a lot of cuts that were made by the administration. One of the cuts that we had to confront as the chair of the Public Housing Committee was the $6.8 million that was cut from a security program that was meant to protect seniors. NYCHA has about 55 senior buildings citywide, and the mayor wanted to cut this $6.8 million, which represented the security guards who protected the seniors in their building, in the lobby areas. Some buildings had 24-hour security, some had 16-hour security, but the mayor wanted to cut it, and we were able to fight to maintain and get that monies back. I guess they call it the budget dance, when the mayor cuts and the city council has to fight to get it back. Because for the sake of me, we just didn't understand why would you cut monies from the most disadvantaged folks, the folks who are supposed to be in their golden years, and really pull this sheet of security from under them when they need it. And you know, public safety is important, and these are the folks that are the most vulnerable. It just didn't make sense that they were going to default to PSA2, and knowing that there's issues with response times and things of that nature. And here you have folks, boots on the ground, right in the lobby area, making a senior feel comfortable going in and out their residence. And we also had a residence in my district, Carter G. Woodson, which you had a serial killer and killed like 3 seniors. In the last 3, I think it happened like 3 years ago. So they got the 24-hour security. So these were some of the things. The $6.8 million was one of the challenges we had to face, and cuts. We had to fight to make sure got some capital monies for NYCHA. As you do know, there's always a fight to protect the last bastion of public housing, and I call the OG of public housing in New York City, and also the fight to against privatization of public housing. So we those are some of the things we had to confront amongst the other cuts that were made to libraries and cultural programs, you name it. So it was definitely a restorative budget, like the speaker said, and a lot of other members have stated over and over, we wish we would have it would have been a budget of building on, especially in communities like the 42nd Council District, which has historically been left behind, that we were able to make, that we would have been able to make real more investments as opposed to having to keep things at the same level. But there were great success that were made, and there are a lot of programs that are baseline in the budget. So it means that the funding can't be cut the next round that we come around when we do our next budget, and we have to be mandated to fund those programs. So it was an interesting budget. I would say for the 42nd Council District, we were definitely successful in bringing close to $12 million of capital monies back. The large bulk of it going into public schools, schools that needed auditoriums that were in great disrepair, from a lot of the surveys we took from the principals. And we were happy with that. We were able to increase the amount of organizations that we funded by at least, I think, close to 60%, 59% increase of organizations that were created. We were able to increase the funding for NYCHA tenant associations. We were able to, I believe this budget we were able to bring the bacon back home, and I believe there's more to come.
Awesome.
While I'm talking to you, I'm trying to also talk to your team as well, because I want to make sure that some of your constituents know that you're on to participate and ask some questions, right? Because there are a lot of things going on within your district. One of the things I want to thank you, right,
for fighting for your district, for funding. That's big time.
For a dude that is 8 months in, you're doing a hell of a lot of work, because I see it when I drive through the community. You're present. You didn't just take the position or applied for the position and have the people endorse your candidacy for the position, but you are on the ground. You're coming out to meetings. I know you were at my community board, and you came on a whim. Actually, you came like, yo, where's Chris? And then council member was standing in front of me and saying, hey, I'm here, and talking to the community about what needs to happen. And there's still a learning curve, right? There's still a learning curve on the things that are going on. I'm glad, like I mentioned, I smiled when I said I saw you on television, but it was true. You were doing a hearing in City Council on public housing and what needs to be done. So one of my first questions around public housing, New York City is in a crisis of housing. Mm-hmm. I got to tell you, from my perspective, I don't feel like we need to build because we have no choice. Mm-hmm.
Right.
But I feel like we need to build because we're making New York City too expensive for people to be able to afford what is already built.
Correct.
And I'm just trying to, I've been having this conversation. How do we make the city more affordable, especially when we're dealing with housing? For example, we have a lot of developments where they have empty apartments. And why do they have empty apartments? Because people can't afford to move in. I shared a story of somebody I know on Flatbush Avenue, on a 1-bedroom studio on Flatbush and like Avenue HI over there. and a one bedroom studio, $1,900. If a one bedroom studio is $1,900, we know the issue with the AMI, which is another issue. They look at the average median income, that it does not represent a true average median income, because it has people in there that makes the disparity is so great, right? How can we make the developers make the apartments cheaper by feeling more comfortable financially to make it better for New York City residents to have this apartment? Because now the second part of my question is that you're changing the chemistry, right? So you're building these very high buildings next to, because a developer swoops in certain parts of your district. You have larger houses.
It looks weird.
Property. So when that person sells their house, they're putting up a building up there,
yeah,
right?
It looks ridiculous. It really looks ridiculous.
Right. You have that building in between two houses. So the neighbors like, I can't,
you can't go on your deck. You can't go in the backyard.
You can't go anywhere. You're losing sunlight because you need it for health and those things. And now all of a sudden they sell. So now they sell, the developer swoops in, take that and build, these things. What are some things you think can be done, the city can be done to help homeowners pass that? I'm going to say pass it on. I don't believe in trickle-down economics, but what can the city do to help the homeowners so that they can help renters instead of charging these obscene prices for New York City?
You said 1,800 or whatever. My colleague who just moved in from Texas, he's paying 2,400 for a studio, and it's like less than 500 square feet. And I'm saying he was like, I don't know if I could afford staying in New York. That's the problem. People are leaving. They're selling. They're going to the South. They're going to North Carolina. They're going to Virginia. They're Maryland. They're like, this is too crazy.
And people are leaving because there's no housing for them, and we have a how would I say, there's a bracket of folks who make between $40,000 to $80,000 where there's no housing. In my district, the 42nd Council District, more on the East New York side, we've had a great expansion of public housing. Let me say this, of dirt cheap, affordable housing, which fits the AMI of the district. And it has slanted towards it's heavily slanted towards incomes between 15,000 upwards to maybe about 25,000. And those folks, if you go back into those apartments, they're getting housing. But it's that middle bracket that calls my office every day and they say, Chris, there's nothing for us. My son who came back from college, who has a degree and gets a job making 50, 60, 70,000.
Can't afford.
Well, no, they don't qualify. They don't qualify for even the affordable housing.
Yeah, they make too much.
Open to everybody. They make too much.
Yeah, and too much at what? Too much to live in the city. You can't even, I don't know. There's a disconnect, and where they're putting whoever's making the cost or the cutoff, they're not really taking account of everyone, like you just mentioned.
Right.
They're not. It's the have and have-nots, and no one want to feel as though they're busting their tails to work, and they have no roof. That's why you have so many people going into the shelter system, even though they're working. They cannot afford it.
They can't afford it. And you have a heavy slant or a large movement for folks to go into the shelter and get housing vouchers. And let me say this too. There are folks, obviously, if you're working and you're at a certain income, you don't qualify for CITFEPS.
Yes.
Right. So you would have to stay in the shelter until you get enough money to move into an apartment. And you still rent under burden. It's just that you just saved enough to move in to get an apartment.
It's like
As
double
opposed,
whammy.
it's like, yeah, as opposed to being able to pay your rent with your monthly income.
Oh, the
comments.
Hold on, there's a lot of comments.
I was just about to read a couple comments.
The question is private housing for Black and Brown an issue for lack of capital funds in other ethnic community?
I would say that it's not there is a lack of capital funding to some degree, but I think that there's the capital funding that has come down. I would say that it's really about prioritizing. We're really talking about a system that puts profit over people. Mm-hmm. And when you're fighting against these demons, it's no matter how much capital money you may have, if there's no equity in how money is being distributed, or if it's being done fairly, we won't be able to address a lot of the systemic issues that are facing Black and Brown communities. How do we build Black wealth? And let me also say this too, and this is something that's controversial. We have a Black mayor, we have a Black speaker, we have a lot of melanated folks who are in powerful places throughout the entire city. I'm a city council person that are in control. Black folks control the power in the city of New York, but yet we're still far behind, and that's something that makes me scratch my head on a consistent basis. We have the political power, but you don't see it translate into economic power.
Interesting. A lot of people are talking about that.
Before we move from this, I'm going to take. I know this is not part of the question that we're talking about when we talk about housing. Joseph, do you mind telling us where you live? He said one of the concerns people leave in my neighborhood is due to a lot of music out. They own the house and selling, or they're renting and moving because music is. So that's I think that goes on to noise pollution, right? Okay. Quality of life, and we know that. At the end of the day, I always say to people leaving the system or the city, they leave for various reasons. One of the conversation which Dr. Frey is bringing up, people are under some misguided notion that moving south, you're better off.
Right. The housing cost is not as expensive.
And first of all, let's think about it, right? Because Councilmember Banks, you might know more than me, right? Dr. Frey is actually an economist, a little bit from St. John's University, right? And one of the things I'm telling people is, if your salary is lower, right? So you might have a cheaper house, but if you're not making the same amount of money that you make in New York City. So New York City has to become, right, or places like New York, Florida.
That's what happened in Atlanta. A lot of people moved to Atlanta.
Right. I saw a beautiful house. I saw a beautiful house in Conyers about 5 years ago for $499,000. When I went back last year, that same house was for $800,000. And at this point, it's over $1 million. The point that I'm making is that people are misguided, and the laws are different too, right? The laws, which I have a problem with, it's that you can live in somebody's house without paying rent, and you can live there for an extended period of time without paying rent. And when that owner, who's dependent upon the rent, not all of the rent, but some of the rent, to pay their mortgage, to cost of living, and you're not paying your rent, that person might lose their house, and you still don't have a place to live, and you got to get out because of that. So people have to learn a balance, right? It's not, you have to pay your rent even if it's reasonable. right?
Correct.
And I think a lot of people are not doing that. But it goes back to
yeah. No, and I was about to add. We saw that it was definitely symptomatic of what took place during the COVID and after COVID, where there was a rush to provide relief for tenants the rent programs they put out, a lot of monies they gave, and then you had ERAP, which was also supposed to be a help for landlords, but there were a lot of landlords, a lot of small black and brown landlords, small 2-family, 3-family landlords, mom and pop landlords who did not benefit from ERAP.
No, they did not.
And a lot of them had to go gave up traditional rentals and went into Airbnb just to save their legacy, just to be able to hold on to possibly passing over a wealth to the next generation and property ownership. And Esther, you seen the rise of Airbnb in New York City, and then then some folks said that, oh well, that was that move will hurt the housing stock, lessen the housing stock here in New York City, and I guess you can debate that. Some folks could debate that how it hurt the housing stock. And some folks would say that, it was really about survival and maintaining your property. Listen, the reality is that moving south, and I just want to go back to that, is not the answer.
No,
we need to support policies and push policies that bring parity and how capital monies are released. We need to support small mom and pop landlords, and I hate to say it, there needs to be a middle ground. You shouldn't have someone living in an apartment for 12 months, 2 years in an apartment and not paying rent. There has to be a better way of dealing with that doesn't force the landlord to be on the brink of being homeless themselves. I mean, these are the folks that undergird our community. So we have to get back to the middle. We can't just be on the extreme, and where it's just we're so heavily tenant right oriented. When we do know there are egregious landlords who are slumlords, we need to go after those bad actors. But at the same time, we need to get back to the middle, because there are a lot of folks losing their homes, and black and brown folks are losing their homes, and the folks that are coming behind them to get it are not us.
I want. There's something I want to say about. So write that down, because there's something I want to talk about. And let's go back to generational wealth. That's what I want to talk about. But let's take some of the viewers' comments. I don't know if you want to wrap through them one at a time. Adrian writes, which is what we're just talking about. Rightfully so, landlords are suffering throughout the burden, and the burden falls on the renters, right? Because sometimes, that's an issue, right? So landlords, again, it's a problem. Let me see. Joseph writes, he goes back and writes, it's like people that complain in the streets. They don't know about community meetings to have their voice heard. They're just problematic. At least when you go to community meetings, you have 2 minutes to talk and explain the issue. Community meetings are important. I'm going to put the word community board meetings and as housing committee and such within each district. I agree with you, Joseph. And then a lot of times you find in our community, I don't know if that happens a lot, especially in our black and brown communities, you find people are more reactionary than proactive in their behavior. Oh, I didn't know this bus was coming. You need to move this bus. Well, in order for the bus to come, you have to have a public meeting. You have to have a notification, a public meeting, and a number of other things. You waited till it get to the end. Like I remember one day, and I bring this story up a lot. I was on Church Avenue in Utica, and I was doing something for the community, and I was giving out a flyer. And the lady just walked by me, and she goes, "I'm not interested." And I said to her, I stopped her, and I said, "Ma'am, why aren't you interested? You don't even know what I'm giving you." "Oh, I'm not interested." "Well, ma'am, I'm actually giving out such and such things." Oh, she said, "Oh, are you really?" She turned around. In our community, we need to take something, look at it, and
Right.
then determine that we're not interested, not decide that we're not interested. You know, John, Senator Sampson, normally would say, and it sounds very insulting, but it's true, right? In a lot of black and brown communities, if you want to hide
I
something,
put it in a
you
book.
put it in a book.
Or put it at the end of the email.
Yeah.
Because they only read, and it's the truth. I mean, and let me say this: I've caught myself sometimes, and that's why you have to kind of read out some of those bad habits. I'll just run through an email, and I thought I picked up the main things. And I'm like, nah, oh my god! And then when I'm speaking to somebody and they're spitting it back to me, I'm like, oh, well, I missed that. I didn't see that in there.
Yeah.
So we have to be mindful when we're examining these documents or whatever information that's coming down to us, that we're really examining it. And
and a lot of times you don't, you like you buy a house, you don't read the fine print. Seriously?
that's true.
You know, let's read a couple more. We should.
Let me say this. I want to hit on a topic that obviously that is still coming up. September, October, we'll be voting on the final housing opportunity tax, and the city, yes, that's something I think the community has to read. Folks have to read it. Even though you don't understand it, a good percentage of it is in jargon that is, you know, a lot of us don't have urban planning backgrounds, but you know, we got to get somebody that can break it. I have to get somebody that can break it down and make it so I can understand it. And I'm an elected official, and I don't say anything.
He spoke about this. Roger spoke about this.
I went to about 6 meetings about the city of Yes, and I've gotten a better understanding of it. But trust me, if at my level who have gone through it, I'm the chair of the community board. I have a land use committee that's reviewing it, my rezoning committee that's reviewing it. I go to the borough board meetings. I'm online with the CP, and yet still I'm sitting there going, whatever. I want to thank you, Laura, for sharing and Jewel for Jewel Wall. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that, for sharing as well. Joseph wrote back. Go back to Joseph's comment up top at 7:56, Andre. It's like the people that complain in the streets. Yeah, we just spoke about that.
This one, the Cypress Hills, what's happening?
He's from Cypress Hills, so he's in your district there.
Yes, he says, and then the Bible says, but I'll talk to Chris in the community meetings, the big guy with the cane, and the big guy with the cane. Okay,
who's the big guy? Who's the big guy in the cane?
That's what I'm trying to figure out too. But please, if you see me at the community board meetings, please feel free to come up to me and talk to me so I can get to know you and know some of the issues and your concerns. But please bring a leader to the community board meetings. Bring somebody with you, no matter what community.
But I just, while you asking Chris for talk about, I'm not understanding. I don't know if Chris, if you get it, they take an advantage with the music. So when I complain, they shut it down half the time. They don't listen. But I have neighbors wanting to move out. Could you explain that a little bit more, Joseph?
Maybe his quality of life. He's not happy.
Is there somebody a block? I mean, that's all I can think of. There's a quality of life issue on his block where somebody is
yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Yeah.
And he's mentioned.
And let me say this: noise complaints are just rampant throughout New York City. I don't know how do you enforce it. I mean, the police. I mean, there's not enough manpower, especially like in the 42nd Council District. We have especially in Community Board 5, I think we have the highest amount of permits that's given when it comes to block parties throughout I believe throughout Brooklyn. We have 10 to 15 block parties every Saturday, starting in June, and sometimes a little early, but June, going all the way up until the end of September. So we're talking about close to 200 block parties, a little under 200 block parties for the entire summer. That's a lot of manpower needed. And then you have people that continue partying after the block party.
After the block party is over. Elite landlords aren't doing repairs. I always talk to Karen about this and putting tenants in danger. You have scum landlords.
Yes.
Go back to that comment, Andre.
have a lot of slum landlords. Listen, I can name some of these bad actors. Wave Price. I mean, look, let me not name. But you have some bad, and now the only answer, they need to be arrested and thrown in jail. Because I hate to say HPD.
Go back. Go back to the same comment from Karen Greenwood before we come to that.
The elite landlords.
What I want to say to Miss Greenwood is the following. There are two components to this. One component is there's a small number of terrible landlords. Terrible. They don't fix nothing. They don't do nothing. They don't care. They just want to collect the money.
Mm-hmm.
But on the flip side of that, and I told her she needs to become a landlord as well, right? To understand that on the other side of it, I've had tenants, right, who landlords have come to me who have tenants who owed like 11, 12, 13, 14, $15,000 in rent. How do you plan to fix anything if you're owed 50? What do you fix? Where do you think you're gonna make this money from? And we know that our Black families, on average, are if they're in the top 20%, they're not in the top 5 of the 10%. They're in the bottom 5 of that 20%. So where are they getting additional income from? And I keep reminding her that you can't just keep saying landlords. It's like kind of like when I think of this issue.
Elite landlord.
No, but it's a small number.
She's probably talking about the big.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
I hear companies who manage like Linden Plaza, some of these big developers, and there are some small mom and pop slum landlords.
Yeah, they are.
But I think the egregious
and deed theft, by the way, she likes to talk about deed theft, and that's important too. That we need to understand deed theft and training on that as well.
That's important too. When you talk about protecting Black wealth too.
Yeah.
And transferring wealth. But yeah, I mean, listen, the city of New York, NYCHA, is the biggest slumlord in the city. I mean, so the reality is that there are a lot of landlords, a lot of these management companies that have been putting profit over the people, and they've been getting away with it. And the reality is that we have the HPD that is, has not done the best oversight. HPD is a lot of these issues that we're having is because it's just a cesspool of profit being made, and it's pay to play, and that's the reason why you see, like, we have a development in my district, Linden Plaza, which is in disrepair. I mean, something so beautiful back.
And it's new. Linden Plaza is new.
Well, since the 70s, it was built in 74. So, but when you speak to folks who've been there over 30, 40, 50, they said, Chris, when we moved in here, there's working class folks in here. There's still working class folks still in there. But they said the management company took care of the property. The people took care of the property. There was an investment. Now you have the folks that are managing it. The investments is about profit. They say they're doing this. They're pulling monies. They're getting monies. $8 million to do this, $10 million to do this, and you're not seeing it, and you're not seeing an investment in the property. And this is the big corruption that you're seeing. And some of these same management companies and are being awarded contracts to RADPAC, to the privatization of NYCHA. So it's a big cesspool that has to be drained out. And I don't know if the political will is there to do that. Some folks, won't be in elected office if they take it on, but the reality, there got to be some point. There has to be a turning point where we get back to the middle, where we're taking care of our people, and we really look at living in a respectable apartment, getting services and repairs done is a human right, and not about not looked at it just as profit. We don't have the money, or the money is going to take care of my child's education or whatever. So these are some of the things I think that we definitely have to hone in and focus on. And I don't think it's happening under this administration.
So I'm looking at Jalen P. Chris, you get to read this.
Hey,
Go let Chris read it. Yeah, Chris,
Hey, Auntie Juju, how are you? I wanted to tell you, I hope you have a good day, and I need to tell you some good news. This Saturday, we have our championship game, and I have 2 medals. Congratulations.
That's her nephew. Who's Auntie Juju?
He plays basketball. He plays basketball.
I love to call her Juju. Yeah, so congratulations, Jalen. Missed you actually at the birthday party.
He's in Florida.
I know he's in Florida. Chris, I want to switch, so I don't want to spend too long on housing. There are a lot of things, parks and recreation. I want to ask you about a couple parks because I've been asked about it. One of them is Gershwin Park looks beautiful, but there's some other parks in the community that don't look as good. And one of them, which is on the western end of the district, which is Ditmas Park, it's has always been one of those parks that was not cared so much for in the past. And I'm not going to call any names about who didn't take care of it and didn't understand it was part of that district as well. So I don't know if you've thought about doing any funding for it. Have you taken a walk? As a matter of fact, I'm inviting you over this weekend. On Saturday, they're having a tournament, so you can stop in and see it and see what I'm talking about. It's like, I don't know if you know where Railroad Park is. It's like literally at, was it 91st between Ditmas and Avenue B?
Yeah. Well, let me say, I believe there are some pending capital monies that are coming down the pipeline for Ditmas Park.
Well, we call it Ditmas Park because from the neighborhood, but it's the right name is what Railroad Park. Yeah,
Railroad Park. Right. So this is an issue that we're definitely going to champion, and I've been having conversations with the Parks Department on Ditmas Park or Railroad Park. So I'm hoping by next year we can see some movement on some capital monies coming down. As you do know, the Parks Department, when monies are allocated, you then have to fight with the Parks Department to make sure the money comes down. So my commitment is to make sure that we do some major capital improvements to that park. And I'm definitely looking forward to coming in and taking a look at the park. I'm not going to commit to you this weekend because the schedule is extremely busy, and I have my girlfriend. I'm taking her to the Beres Hammond concert at night at the park.
Yo, dude, wait, excuse me, sir.
I gotta take her. I can't.
Hold on, man. What's wrong with you? Don't be making that kind of announcement on the radio, man. You want to get me killed?
No, you're good, brother.
Let's say you're taking your girlfriend to a concert. That's it.
Oh,
not Beres, man. Don't say Beres. I'm glad my wife didn't hear you because you're not here. That's good.
Oh, so you was a. Well, I'm sorry.
I'll be in trouble.
You're gonna be in big trouble. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm gonna try my best to make it because I gotta get parking. Parking is crazy out there. So, but anyway, I will try my best to make it. But there is a commitment.
While the event is happening, you could just pop in Double Park. Just let me know what time you come. My son's at baseball game. I could pop in and say hello as well. I'm actually going to try to make it there myself for part of the afternoon. So tell me, national election is coming up. I'm pretty sure you have endorsed Kamala. I could almost bet my bottom dollar if you have not done it yet, you will do it soon.
100%. I'm behind Kamala. And I mean, listen, there's no other choice. I mean, and the reality is that you seen yesterday when Trump was being interviewed by the black journalists, black women, even some of his, there was a conservative journalist who was on a panel, and even her questions, he had no answer for, no clear future. Even on policies we may disagree with, that she was giving him red meat in the conservative from the conservative lunchbox. He was unable to answer these questions. So the reality is that he's the old man in the race. He's the delusional man in the race.
Yes,
he's shown that he's unfit for the job. And we just have to get out there. We got to get out there. We got to vote, 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 vote. We have to look at these attacks that are being levied by the Republicans and even some Black Democrats who have levied some things against Kamala. That we need to stand up and we need to make it clear that she's the only choice and that democracy is on the ballot. And if we don't get out and vote, I believe it was said best by Donald Trump that we won't get the chance to vote after this election if she doesn't.
I see a lot of I see a lot of immigrants are backing Donald Trump. A lot of
know better.
And to me, it's like you're backing somebody. It's like shooting yourself in the foot because Donald Trump has stated. And I use the word in a normal ear, but I'm only going to use the president's word. Shithole countries. So he has made that out there. So a lot of these West Indian folks and African folks who fall under this category. Today, when he was asked about the issue with Massey out there in Springfield, Illinois, and the police who killed her, he didn't denounce the police officer.
Of course not.
He said that we need to learn that when innocent people make mistakes. That's his response. That's closest as he's going to say to it was a poor judgment, not condemnation for you shot and killed a woman who didn't have a weapon.
A criminal act.
That is just the ultimate. And you know, I try to tell Black people, and they don't listen, council member, which is when the police officer stayed in George Floyd's neck while he was in office, 8 minutes and 46 seconds. He did not get up and say, what the hell was that about? He didn't say anything about it.
But
when the white people went down into when the white people went into Charlottesville and killed all those people, there are some good people on both sides.
He said he's going to actually those who were charged, he's going to release them and just let them free or whatever, because they did ask him about that. He was like, there's innocent people from January. What is it?
January 6th.
Yeah.
Yeah. We all know that, you know, if you're a Republican, you don't believe there was an insurrection.
Hello, David.
Good night, David. And thank you, Joseph, for not going out to that meeting and staying in Brooklyn and listening on the conversation with our ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining the village. We're here with Council Member Chris Banks from New York City. He's in Brooklyn, and he represents the 42nd District right here in Brooklyn. And this is his. He beat out. What is it? What do you call a wheel? What do you call a generation? A generational person who was in office.
He said it.
Yeah, for over 20 years, 23 years to be exact. The family was in office, and you know, and so got his feet underground, boots strapped on, got to work right away. So we're pleased to have him back on the show. So please feel free to share, join, and put your questions in the chat. We'll do our best to answer them. He'll do his best. We have him for a couple more minutes. And then right now we're talking about the presidential election and your thoughts. Like, is there anything that you're doing? Are you joining with anybody in your Congress people, U.S. Senate, to help with the campaign for the national level? Is there anything that you're doing or you thought about doing?
Yeah, well, I'm thinking about doing some voter registrations. Those to me, it's basic, but it's the only way to win. And have conversations with as many people as I can in my district to encourage them to go and vote. And sometimes it becomes peacefully confrontational, because some folks just, you really have to lay out some facts to them, and point out a lot of the indiscrepancies that exist amongst what's coming from Trump and the rhetoric that they're seeing. And for Black men who understand what it is to be justice involved, or have dealt with police brutality or interactions with PD, Trump is not the guy. He's not the guy that is going to go in there and tackle some of these criminal justice issues, or these police brutality issues. He's not going to support passing the George Floyd bill. He's made it clear he's going to support giving police qualified immunity. So, and for somebody to say that in the same context with seeing an officer viciously, in an inhumane, shoot a Black woman in the face that just had a pot of water and was uttering, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." That this goes beyond. It's not human. You can desensitize. You can teach sensitivity training to folks who are open to receive it, but when folks just, if they do learn it and it's not something they receive, they're still going to look at Black and brown folks as a threat, an enemy, and no matter what situation, no matter how much training you give them. So what we have to really do, we have to, the same way we feel fearful in our interactions with police have to become fearful of, if they commit a brutal crime against a Black and brown person, that they go into jail. And there should be no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We need to be swift and make sure that we create these examples. I haven't seen the examples as yet. Amadou Diallo got away. Louima, barely much. Stansbury, Robert Stansbury, Anthony Stansbury, same thing. Kai Gurley, same thing. You name it, across the board. Anthony Baez, same thing. You can go down the list, of Black and brown folks who were brutally killed in the streets, and their blood is still laying there. No justice has been served. So we have to fight. We have to fight for justice for our people, and make sure that we hold cops accountable. And accountability doesn't mean get rid of police, but go after the bad cops who are making it very difficult to provide proper public safety to our community. And to me, really, they're destroying this community relationship that we should have, that we need. Because I believe it's important to have a strong relationship with PD and work with them. But when do we get justice? When do we get justice? When it's blatantly, when it's blatant, a blatant murder. When?
It's you're supposed to be trained, right? You're supposed to be trained to pick sense out of nonsense, right? That's your training, right? I was an educator for 25 years, right? I knew not to slap a child no matter how angry they got me. I knew that. So in my 25 years, I never slapped a child. Came close a couple of times, but never did it.
So you know what they mentioned with the whole Massey case, the who was in charge? The person in charge that fired him, the police officer, mentioned that his records didn't come along. There was information that was hidden that did not come along. So they hired him under, I guess, the recommendation that he was a good cop and everything. And he spent 16 weeks being trained, but 3 other precincts
He was fired. Correct.
And even the military. He was
correct.
discharged. So when we do our background check, do we go far enough to investigate before putting a gun in the hand of police officers? Because, you know, deeper background check is done with city jobs, with just Target and other places and other, you know, shopping places or whatever. But where we're actually giving them authority to carry a weapon for safety, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I got a recommendation from such and such or whatever. Oh, yeah, you know, this place said, you know, so there's not enough communication. There's not enough warning. Because if somebody has mental health, that should be red flag too.
Right. And it should be documented.
There's a disconnect.
And it should follow them.
Yeah.
They should follow. There needs to be some legislation on the federal level that creates some database that follows the officer. No matter where they go in the United States. They should be able to go into a small precinct, work for a police department, and be able to hide. You know, so they killed people or there's some egregious stuff on there. No, we're talking about giving people a gun. And we got to do better due diligence when it comes to background checks of these officers, no matter where they go or where they try to hide and go to. I think had we red flagged this or this been caught, this officer would have been working in that.
Same as the military, right? Just because you come out of the military doesn't mean that you were honorably discharged. So why did you leave or whatever? So these questions and deeper investigation, like you mentioned, needs to be had. And the same with the guns. When people go to go and purchase guns, hey, do they have a record? You know, do they have mental illness? Do they have this? Do they have a history of abuse or assault or record? So all of that needs to, you know, there are so many holes in our system that causes innocent people to die because of neglect and not follow through and just
negligence.
Not being important.
And we saw that. This is a perfect example. It's like this young girl, 36-year-old, she with children. I mean, she hope everybody, you know, they lost a mother, and she can't come back. You know, when an officer dies, you know, they unleash everything to make sure whoever did it goes to jail, and it's, you know, but there needs to be that same approach when we're talking about a black and brown person. Even though we know this particular officer has been arrested, has been fired, and thank God for that. And I think that kind of died down some with protests because they
got rid of him right away. Right. He was charged.
And he was charged, and he was caught with his own camera. And I thank God to some of the protests that took place.
No, his camera was off. The other officer's camera was on. His camera was off throughout the whole altercation. So
you stand corrected on that. But the fact of the matter is that this was a police department's camera that was on, and obviously that's another sign. He didn't even have his camera on. I know here in New York City, it's a disciplinary action if you don't turn on your camera once you're on duty. So, you know, thank God for that. Imagine had that officer not have a camera, had a camera, they could have.
Yeah, it would have been his word versus her word, and guess what? All of a sudden, all types of.
I was having a conversation, extended conversation today, and what people fail to understand.
It's true.
Is that they're bad people and bad people and bad people. It's not a position that makes you a good person. It's the person that makes themselves a good person. So, you know, what does that mean? It means that not because you're a cop, you should be forgiven because you're supposed to be a good person. Or the opposite too. Like every cop is not that. I had some really good cops working with me today at the event that I was having. Right. And I've had some good relationships with some very good cops. And I've seen some very bad cops. I mean, I share the story all the time. When the cop pulled me over, I got a file, right? I got a file because my cousin fit the description. And then my ticket said, running a steady red, use of profanity, and resisting arrest. Here's the funny thing about my ticket. Here's the thing about my arrest. The profanity came when I was sitting in the car. So you're going to arrest me for use of profanity after you've arrested me?
That makes sense.
Right. And here's the thing too. This is why, and I bring this up because this is why I tell people that you need to get your butt out there and vote. The judges didn't look at this damn thing and threw it out. They didn't throw it out because it didn't seem like this is BS. Actually gave me a criminal record because I was arrested and fingerprinted for running a red light on a bicycle.
Wow. On a
bicycle. When I tell people to get out and vote, it's not just the president of the United States that you're voting for.
Mm-hmm.
Is the people that they're going to put in place
that's
going to govern you.
That's true.
Because those judges, some of them, Donald Trump was in office from 2016 to 2020. He appointed about 98% white individuals to office. With more than 70% of those white men.
Yeah, a lot of young judges too, especially in those circuits.
Yeah, the circuit court.
He knew,
even at the Supreme Court.
At the Supreme Court. I'm just saying he knew too. He also understood that the levels of the judicial system. Yeah. They can kill stuff even in those circuit courts.
So you guys forget his sister was an attorney.
What?
His sister. Oh, you all forget that his sister, attorney. So he was being trained by someone in the field on what to do for your pecking orders to make changes.
Last week, Chris, we talked about the lady from Oneida, who's a judge, a Republican judge, who literally stated what she said about the black people. And she was a judge, like she wanted them off their property. Like, well, you have black people. Showed her racial prejudice, and she is a judge.
She's a judge. Yeah,
Jean Shapiro was another example. Judge Judy is another example. You know, she'll actually do white on. No, observe her. White on white, black on black. It's different. Black on white.
So
it's different.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Quick question.
But before I forget, Karen Greenwood asked. She sent me a text message and she asked if you think about having a special investigator on deed fraud in city council.
Yeah, I think that's something we can have a discussion on. I mean, I know deed fraud is a major issue, and it's something that obviously it's something that I think will, I think that's something we can look at. I mean, I think something we can probably have conversations with my colleagues, some other colleagues, to see how that can be accomplished. But again, I know it's a major issue that is affecting a large amount of the black community, and we're seeing generational wealth or the opportunity to pass on wealth to the next generation being lost because of deed theft. And we got also point that we know the folks who are doing it. I mean, this is the reality. But again, we have to go after them, and we have to find a mechanism. So we could definitely take that into consideration, and we'd love to have conversation with you after this.
I know that on beyond your time, so are you still hanging out with us, or you have to go?
It's 8:41. I do have to. I'm gonna cut on out. I do appreciate it. I got some other debates I gotta hit up, but I'll cut out in another 9 minutes or so, 8:50.
All right.
Is that okay?
So good. Let's Joseph, you need to figure out Joseph, man. You need to talk to him. He has some issue. It seems like he has a lot. Joseph, why don't you give the office a call? I put the number back up, Sophia, for the office.
Yeah,
he seems to be having a lot of issue with this music. The music on his block or in the neighborhood. Judge Judy comment.
Checking in, it says mental illness will be on the medical records if I'm seeing doctor and being.
Oh, there it is.
But you know, also too with medical records too. I mean, they are protected under, infographic. So that may be. I don't know how they will be able to access that as far as with a police officer. But I think,
dude, let me say this, Chris. When I was becoming an assistant principal, my charge that I just told you about was supposed to be expunged and sealed. They asked me about it. You get me?
Oh, wow.
And that was from 1995 summer.
Well, then
I was 23 years old when it happened, and they asked me about it. Or 96 summer, one of them. I don't remember if I was becoming a teacher for the first time or the first time I was going to South Shore High School to teach.
And this happened while you were a youth or juvenile?
No, I was an adult.
I'm talking. Okay, the offense. Well, the alleged.
But that's what I'm talking about with the mental health component.
Got you. Okay.
And even when I was in college, and I initially thought about being a cop. I had a conversation, and they asked me for it. They said, "What was the conversation you had with your therapist?" They couldn't ask the therapist, but they asked me to find papers to say I'm okay. So yeah, you could figure it out. They could ask the right questions, and I asked them, and they could reject you based upon you not providing that evidence. They absolutely can. So yeah, they could do complete psych eval and psych questions and whatever. Big sense out of nonsense. What do you plan to do for the next? Are you on recess now, or are you still, as a city council person, you go year round? I know it's full time.
So they say it's a recess, but in our office, listen, if you're an active council person, you're on the ground, you're out every day, you're dealing with constituency issues. There's no time off. I'll try to take a little vacation of 2 or 3 days, but yeah, I'm working and not that. But listen, people sent me here to work.
You have 2 cell phones, right? You have 2 cell phones.
I have 2 cell phones. Yeah.
You got a laptop.
I have a laptop.
Drink a mojito, be on the beach, and get Wi-Fi. Yeah. Right. And make sure your girlfriend takes you to Jamaica to go see Barris Hammonds. How is that?
That would be the
Vibes Cartel. Or Vibes Cartel.
We'll do it in Brooklyn first, and then we'll go to Jamaica.
You know what I didn't hear about summer? Is this going on, the summer concert series? I didn't hear much about it from this office.
Yeah, they have this reinvented. I think the mayor has this thing called the Summer Live or Summer something that they've been doing concerts. They're actually having something on the 16th in Queens, where they're having a lot of the Caribbean artists, and then they're having something again here in Brooklyn at Wingate. I think that's in another couple of weeks or a week or so, where you're gonna have, you're gonna have a lot of the Caribbean artists are gonna be there, soca artists are gonna be there. So,
all right, I guess I'll find out and see if we can get on that list of the Caribbean.
It's called the Summarize Concert Series.
Summarize. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna look that up.
The tickets are free. Well, it's free. It's free concert.
Yeah, it's free, but then I can't. I need to sit down. So.
Well, they'll make it. They got for the for handicapped accessible, just people with disabilities. They always provide for them.
Yeah. So I want to move on real quick. Education, District 19, District 23, notorious in the city for poor education. I know there's superintendents come in and out, principals got in and out. As a matter of fact, one of our I sit on a board of an organization called Stillwater, and one of the board members, actually, who's an author, just became a principal in the district.
What school?
I don't remember the school, but her name is Ashley Rogier. That's actually her name. So she just became a principal in the district, in your schools. Talk to us about some things that you're looking at with council member, with Chair Rita Joseph of the Education Committee, to look at your schools specifically. And then the final thing before you go, and yeah, I think you have about 3 minutes, is public safety, right? So public safety, that includes that prostitution stuff and all that other things. So those two questions, I want to leave you with those questions.
Well, I think what we're doing, and I think we're going to continue to do it, is just continue to make an investment in the school system. I think if you change the environment, you enable our young folks and give them the right environment to learn in, they can definitely be successful. And I think that plays a major role in helping to develop the minds and build our young folks. And I think that's important. That's why I want to arm the school system, especially in the 42nd Council District, that, again, as I've said, has been historically left behind. These investments, I believe, in hydroponic labs, computer labs, you name it, these are things that are going to help our young folks, and investing in programs that get them to think outside the box, and some of the traditional fields that we don't tend to go in, engineering. These are things we want to spark their interest, and I think that's going to be key. Now, when it comes to public safety, listen, there's crime throughout the entire United States, and I know we spend a large amount of time when it comes to talking about the crime that exists in our communities. But I think one of the key important things when we talk about public safety is addressing the mental health issue. You have a lot of communities, our community, traumatized, and dealing with a lot of trauma. And I think if we really tackle it from a mental health and making some of the issues that face our community as a mental health crisis, I think we can achieve a lot. We can help out a lot of families that where you see this repeated cycle of what they call it, the feeding the prison pipeline, which East New York and Brownsville. When you look at the numbers, it's a constant. So public safety also has to include that, disrupting that prisoner pipeline route. And again, we encourage folks. I think public safety is comprehensive. It's not just one-sided for the police aspect. We need more civic-minded and engaged community that's willing to stand up and help with the public safety issues that are facing our community. So I encourage folks, being a former precinct council president for the 75th, I understand being engaged is important. And I think if we continue to do that, listen, we're never going to get to 100% perfection, but I do believe that we will get to some degree of a point where we can have we can feel safe to walk our streets and live in our community. So public safety is important to me, and again, we encourage folks to. Yeah, I know I had heard you earlier mention about the community board meetings and how it's important to go to community board meetings, but it's also important to be engaged in your precinct council meetings. Those meetings are very important. We need block associations to come back and become live and active. And that's why I always say, when you look at education, when you look at outside of the schools, the physical surroundings, people act the way they live. So if we're able to beautify our community, having block associations, if we're able to invest in our schools, improving the environment, people will replicate the environment that they live in. And I think that's for us to definitely continue to work towards. And again, thank you much, guys.
No problem. I guess Joseph wants us to tell you that there's a rally at Broadway Junction.
Justice for the
15th. I have one question. I know that Roger just mentioned about the prostitution in East New York. How have you been? Because I know that some places I go, I don't see it as much as earlier this year or late last year. How have you and your group been working with that?
Well, obviously, we're continuing to point out anytime we get calls and there is activity, these things are still taking place where they're still going after the Johns. But I believe if you cut off the need, that will, and then the sex workers, we obviously have to continue to, have those organizations that are out there that are providing the social services, that are trying to convince them to come off the street. And I think we need to disrupt some of the environments. Like I know right now there's a bill that's being negotiated in the council to basically go after some of these hotels and motels that are being used. And it was made known to me that I didn't know you didn't need a license to open up a hotel or a motel. There's no like city regulation. Mm-hmm. So there's a bill that is being produced to help create some regulation so they can go after these motels and hotels who are bad actors. Because I know in my district, 90% of the motels and hotels are not being used from people who are coming from JFK. Some of them are shelters, and some of them are being used for sex workers are using them. And not only that, too, we need to go after the storage facilities, because we're seeing that the storage facilities, we got reports.
You said
storage facilities are being used and rented to also to be used as like a location to have where sex workers are working at, or the prostitution is taking place, where they're renting out the storage room and they put the mattress down, and these storage rooms, and there's security there, but they're not looking to see who's going in and out. So they pull down the shed, they do what they do too, and it's going on right here in the 42nd Council District. So we've been in talks with PD about some of these bad actors, and hopefully we can get them shut down.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Council Member.
Yeah,
it is awesome to have you back. You always fill us with the wealth of knowledge, especially on the housing component. We have housing crisis, and on a number of levels, right? And anything that I can do at the community board, because I am in one of those community boards in your district.
Correct.
I think I represent probably about 10,000 of your members, for your members in your district. So I'm looking forward to do more work with you and getting things done. And, I'm just a phone call away, and if I don't help you, know that my cousin Naro will put a APB out there. So I thank you very much again. And Caribbean American young man, ladies and gentlemen, Chris Banks, first half a term.
How can people reach you? I know that we had it on. I'm just trying to find it quickly so that there's a temporary, information. But if people want to reach out to you,
you can reach me.
I think it did come up.
But we'll bring it back up again because that's important.
447 New Lots Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. And
where's that? 447 New York Avenue is where?
It's in East New York.
Where? Between what?
It's on New Lots between Vermont and Wynona.
Okay.
There we go.
Between Vermont and Wynona, yep. So the information is at the bottom of the screen. And also, too, guys, we are having planning a back to school book bag supply giveaway, a mini fair in conjunction with JCCF Canarsie, UJA in East Flatbush Village on Sunday, August 25th, at the Railroad Park, which is Ditmas. So no folks know that as Ditmas Park,
Wow.
and we're still in the planning phase. But feel free to reach out to the office.
As a matter of fact, have them send us the flyer. I'll actually put it out to the constituents as well, because there are a couple back to school and people, need any support they can get.
So we'll be definitely having one at that particular at Ditmas Park or Railroad Park on the 25th.
Okay.
All right, and I'm sure Assembly Member, I'm sure your office is collaborating with Assembly Member Waterman and Senator Prasad, because those are the two other elected as well.
We would definitely love to reach out and we're open to collaboration. But as of now, it's East New York Flatbush Village, and or JCC of Canarsie, and the UJA. So we're working with them. So
I have somebody in the office call me, and then we can follow up.
I have Mike reach out to you. All right.
That's perfect. Perfect.
Right, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you again, Council Member. God bless you. Have a great night.
Yes, thank you.
Take care.
God bless. Yeah, I'm glad we had an opportunity to talk to him. And I know that Karen is going to get, not Karen, Sophia is going to get mad at me, because sometimes we don't get to go over all of this stuff. So I'm going to read about them. Trump family calling him crazy, including his nephew, Fred Trump Jr., the third, critical thinking question. Brad Lander intends to run against Mayor Adams. Vance accusing Kamala as a threat to Trump's campaign. Accusing or suggesting. I'll probably say suggesting. Right? I would say suggesting that she is. That's good. New York City scanning subway riders for weapons.
Mm-hmm. That's
Starbucks has another decline in quarter sales. Obviously, that's going to hurt their stocks. So people who are looking at stocks, please look at that incredibly. Tomorrow, actually, before I forget, tomorrow, August 2nd, at Padgett Park, which is Foster between Albany Avenue, between Foster and Farragut. And if you want an address for that location, is 4112 Farragut Road. There'll be a rain barrel giveaway. And so if you own a home and you want to do a rain barrel giveaway, please come and pick up your rain barrel. And also that's from 10 to 12. And then first come, first serve. So first come, if you registered, first come, first serve. And then you could do some shredding, actually. I think I'm going to be participating with a shredding piece, Dr. Bryant. And so a couple of things here. Ledecky is now the most decorated Olympian from the United States with 13 medals. She's a swimmer. And the United States has 3,000 medals in the Olympics. So congratulations to us. One of the big things today, I didn't see it. I didn't see it in our talk, but congratulations to President Joe Biden and the Democratic Party. They did two things today of interest.
Release of the
two Russian prisoners.
Yes, it was more than two. It's four of them.
Yeah, four of them. Congratulations. And he did it without war.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them, at least one of them, was arrested under his best friend, Donald Trump, but he didn't get out. And then, so that was good. And two, the mastermind. Well, that one is bittersweet.
Yeah,
the mastermind behind the World Trade Center has accepted a plea deal to serve life in prison for his role. For his role in 9/11. Benev, this is absolutely absolutely false. You might have your opinion that he should not run again, but no president in the history of the United States, from 1 through 46, has done nothing. Some has just done more than some. So I totally disagree with that statement of any president, even the one I don't like, even the ones I didn't like. You know, I wanted to finish up with one thing. A lot of times people are talking about trickle-down economics and how this is good for the economy. And it didn't work under Reaganomics. So what I would like to say to people, have a gallon of water or even 2 gallons.
Mm-hmm.
Get 9 ice trays and stack them one on top of the other. And then slowly pour the gallon of water onto the ice tray. And you will find that the ice tray at the top will get
more of the water.
Tray full. Not only that, but it will have excess ice. So like the ice will level off. And then as you go down and down, yes, the other trays will also get filled up, but the trays at the bottom will not make money or will not have enough. That's trickle-down economics in a nutshell.
All right.
So ladies and gentlemen, when you think about trickle-down economics, I am going to make sure that I take care of myself at the top with some surplus before I move on to the next person. Just a thought of the day. Invest, vacation, enjoy. Happy birthday, Ashley. Happy birthday to anybody who might have been. Oh, Catherine. I did forget Catherine's birthday. It was the 15th when I got back from Thailand. And she made sure she reminded me and she cursed me out. So happy birthday, Catherine. Hope you enjoyed it. Everyone else, enjoy. Register to vote. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Village Radio Talk Show.
All
Thank you for watching, sharing, participating, and most of all, subscribing to our station right here at the Village Radio Talk Show. I am Roderick Daly, host. Join me is our co-hostess, Dr. Joanne Bryant, Andre Doman, our executive producer, Sophia Willissey, our producer, and our co-host in Essentia, John L. Sampson. God bless each and every one of you. Have a great night.
Bye-bye.